This is David with Bauhaus RC and Helios RC, aka New to Rocks on the forums. Hope you're having a great summer. We certainly are. One of the really cool things about this summer has been all of the new tiny truck kits that have hit the market. We're having a lot of fun with those. You've probably already seen the video that we posted, first runs with this SSD Trail King. This is a really neat kit, went together really well, drives absolutely beautifully. And so we're having a lot of fun with that. Next up is going to be detailing that body. Another one of the new releases that has gotten lots of attention and that we've started playing around with is the associated Element Enduro. We got the kit version because we love kits, we love putting them together. Just got this one up and running. Obviously still need to paint the body. The truck drives really, really nicely. So we've been having some fun getting to know the Element Enduro platform. And then, of course, this is the newest one to start shipping, the Vanquish VS4-10 Pro. So the VS4-10, interesting platform. So when Vanquish originally released the VS4-10 Origin last year, certainly attracted a lot of attention. I decided to hold off on buying one at the time for a few reasons. One, the price tag at $900 was a little bit on the high end, I thought, especially given that the platform, the original VS4-10 Origin, was using Vanquish's version of the axial familiar 3-gear transmission, the center-mounted 3-gear transmission that's been in the SEX10 for a long time, and got plenty of 3-gear trucks, and frankly it was just a little bit underwhelming to me. Even though I'm sure that the quality of Vanquish's parts is very good, the beautiful machining, etc., etc. The other thing about the original Origin was that the body that Vanquish had developed for that truck, which was kind of this SUV style, sort of quasi Scout, quasi early Bronco, the proportions on that SUV style body seemed a little bit off to me, especially the really short rear overhang, which I'm sure they did for performance reasons, but the proportions just didn't look so great to me. So I held off on that one, and just recently Vanquish released this new version of the VS4-10, and they made some significant changes that were enough to really pique my curiosity and get me over the hump and get me to pull the trigger on buying one. So the changes, let's go ahead and we'll get into them as we open the box. The biggest ones, obviously the price tag. So the list price on the 410 Pro is $750 as opposed to $900 on the original 410 Origin. The 410 Origins, the price on those had come down. I suspect that's probably because they're trying to clear out whatever inventory they have. But in any event, the starting retail price on this is $750, which to me is just a better, more comfortable starting point for a kit like this. They also have a very innovative new transmission, which we'll talk about in a minute. And the body is a kind of a pickup-like version of the original 410 body. And I just think the proportions on the pickup version look better than the SUV style version. And so put all those together, and I was very intrigued, so glad I got it, and let's take a look. So, box, we've all seen boxes. They did a beautiful job with the artwork on the box. They show a blue one and a kind of a mustardy one as well. The 410 Pro is available in 2 versions. There's a black version and a silver version. The black version has black anodized axles, and the silver version has these kind of clear matte silver anodized axles, so you can take your pick. Normally I'm one to go for the more, I'm not one to go for the blingy look on my trucks, but this time around the brighter, shinier, silvery matte finish was calling my name, so that's the one that I've opted for here. So when you open the box, I sort of cheated. I already opened this to take a look at it. So first thing that you'll see in the box is the body. So this is the kind of pickup style body. And it comes with two major pieces. So there's the body shell, and then this piece is both the interior with the seats and the kind of a bit of a silhouette of the dash, or a perch for the dash, I should say, for the cab. And then in the back there's a slightly dropped kind of bed for the pickup back. And so these two go together like this. And I think I really like the way that this body looks. Love the pictures that I've seen of the finished bodies. I think this one just has a sharper look to it overall, and just looks a little bit better than the SUV style that came with the original Origin. So I'm really looking forward to getting this painted up and seeing how it'll look when we get this one running. So there's your body. And then it's funny, there's been some chatter about packaging and the boxing. So the rest of the box is a bunch of bags. Some people like getting all these fancy styrofoam cutouts with pieces set into the styrofoam and all that. I think that's kind of it's nice, but it's also a bit wasteful. I don't care that Vanquish has not done that with this kit. I'd rather save the money on the packaging and save the styrofoam, not so much to throw into landfills. So I'm just as happy seeing stuff in bags. So here we go. Got a bunch of bags out, and let's see what comes in those bags. The instruction manual, which I'll get to in a minute. So laying these out, let's start with the axles. So these are bags with the axles. The Vanquish has done a really pretty, I think I have scissors here. Let's cut them out. I'll cut them open and take a look. Yeah, these Curry axles are really pretty. They've done a beautiful job with these. And looking at them now in the flesh, I'm happy that I went with the silver version. These look really, really cool. So these are going to be fun. Something else to note, I had pulled out the front housing. So the front axle does have an off-centered pumpkin, which is nice. Not only is that scale realistic, but it also helps with ground clearance when you're out on the rocks. And this one is definitely going to go out on the rocks. The bags with the axles also include, the front axle includes matching aluminum knuckles, also universals, off-centered universals here. So this is a really nice setup. Let's see, rear axle, centered pumpkin, similar design, also looks really, really nice. So let's see, next bag that we'll pull out is, let's talk about the transmission, because the transmission is really cool. Where's the transmission? Oh, here we go. All right, so bag D1, this is a transmission. So what's neat about the transmission, and it's probably easiest to see in the instructions, is that Vanquish has designed a transmission that takes the heaviest piece of the drivetrain, which is the motor, and sticks it as low as they possibly can. And the way they've done that essentially is, you can see from the pictures in the instructions, essentially the motor lies almost on top of the skid, and then you've got a pinion and spur on the one end of the motor, a shaft that runs back over the top of the motor, and then two gears that provide additional gear reduction that sit directly behind the motor and also allow the power to drop down to a 3-gear transfer case. So essentially the transmission doesn't sit on top of the motor or underneath the motor. It actually sits in front and behind the motor, almost in line. There's a transmission housing that covers the whole thing up over the top of the motor that makes it look like a transmission, which is kind of cool. But the heaviest stuff stays nice and low. Another nice feature about this transmission is it does include a slight overdrive to the front axle, so about 6.5% overdrive to the front axle, which helps with steering, helps with climbs. It's not a super aggressive overdrive. but I find that I don't like the super aggressive overdrive anyway. It tends to make things a little less stable on higher traction surfaces anyway, so, and especially if you're picking up a little bit of speed. So I kind of like that 6.5% is a nice number. I've gone up to 10-12%. That's also a really good number. Much more than that I don't particularly like. So nice that Vanquish has done that and included that that feature with the transmission, but it really just intrigued by this whole architecture and putting the motor essentially as low as you can possibly get it. I'm looking forward to seeing how that is all going to come together. I'll flip to the next page. Here you go. You can see a little bit better here how you essentially got the motor sitting down here. You've got the spur cover on the one end, and then you've got some transmission gears and then the transfer case out back behind the motor. So really neat feature, and as I said, really looking forward to putting that together and seeing how that all works. So that's our transmission. That was our bag D1. Some other features that are noteworthy. The 410 Pro comes, like the Origin, comes with the Incision 90mm shocks. I have not tried these shocks before, so I'm very curious to see how they work, how well they work. They do have a nice narrow body. I like that in a shock for a scale truck. I like the proportions to look as close to a 1-to-1 as we can get them, and so these have a really nice narrow look to them. So looking forward to those. Links are Incision stainless links, so those are going to be nice and strong. This bag also has bearings for, looks like most of the bearings are in here, sealed bearings, which are nice to have, especially if you're planning on running in water. So other miscellaneous hardware in that bag. Let's see, the tires. Let's talk about the tires, wheels and tires. So the VS4-10 Pro comes with the same wheels and tires that came in the 410 Origin. The tires are a Vanquish design. I think it's Vanquish's first effort at tires. It's a 4.65-inch tire, which I like the fact that Vanquish didn't go up to the full Class 2 4.75 inches. I find that the full height Class 2 tires tend to look a little bit big under most of the bodies that are out there, and this body is sort of about average sizes, neither particularly big nor particularly small. So glad that they went a little bit smaller than 4.75 inches with these. I have not run these on any of my trucks, the tires. I have driven friend's truck, Derek, also known as SVT 923, who lives nearby. I've driven one of his trucks with these tires. They seem to work pretty well, but I'm looking forward to having them on one of my own trucks and seeing what they do. The wheels are Incision KMC plastic wheels. I believe that the beadlock rings are metal. I have not run these wheels before, so again, looking forward to seeing how well they go together and what they look like underneath the truck. So that's your wheel and tire package that comes with the 410 Pro. Another difference with the 410 Pro versus the 410 Origin are the bumpers and the sliders. So the 410 Origin came with, open this bag up, came with aluminum front and rear bumpers, aluminum sliders that also had, I believe they had a plastic underpiece to allow them to slide over the rocks rather. This Origin Pro, they've ditched the aluminum, machined aluminum bumpers and sliders, and they've gone with, there you go, so you can see them, they've gone with injection molded plastic bumpers and sliders. So these look pretty good. The quality of the molding looks very good. The pieces look good, and the nylon feels nice and strong. And so there's a little bit of flex to it, which you kind of need to have, otherwise things will go snap, and you don't want them to go snap. I'm glad that Vanquish chose to do this. That was one of the things that helped them bring that price down from the original $900 of the Origin down to $750. I'm all for it, because as I said before, I think that the new price point is just a much more sensible price point as a starting place when you're opening a new box. Other things that come with the Origin, with the 410 Pro. So this bag H has, you can see the fan shrouds in there, which is a nice little touch. There's a nice little beefy steering wheel and some other nice little bits. There's also, I think this one might also have the grill. Yeah, this one also has the grill. From the pictures, the grill looks really nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing that on the body. This is chassis bits, body posts. So one thing that's also worth noting about the 410 Pro, here are the chassis rails. So different silhouette than the axial SCX10, SCX10-2 chassis rails. And one of the things that happened when Vanquish first released the Origin was that some of the first builders experienced some bending in the chassis rails at the sharp corners here. Now, maybe they were getting a little bit over eager with the throttle, who knows, but that sharp corner certainly created an opportunity for some bending under impact or under heavy loads. To Vanquish's credit, they redesigned the servo mount and bumper mount to provide some more reinforcement there, and the 410 Pro does include the new servo mount and bumper mount that adds some reinforcement to the chassis rails there. So good for them for solving that problem and including the updated parts in the 410 Pro. The servo mount is a dual steering servo and servo winch mount. They are side by side in line between the chassis rails, so if you want to run a servo winch, the mount is right there for you. So that's kind of a neat little feature. And let's see, last thing that we get, a couple more things. Inner fenders, I'm glad that Vanquish includes those. Inner fenders are great for completing the look of a truck, so you're not staring through it, wires sticking out of the underside of a RC. And then we also have what our Canadian friends like to call decals or decals. So nice little stickers to go with your truck, and window masks to help with the painting. So that's it. That's what you get in the box. Overall, it's a really neat platform. One thing I forgot to mention on the transmission, overall gearing stays very similar to the SCX10-2 gearing and also the original VS4-10 Origin. Believe that the front axle is at 41.3 to 1, and I think the rear is at 44 to 1. And on the 410, and that's with stock spur and pinion. On the 410 Origin, it was, I think, like 40.5 to 1 total drivetrain gear reduction. So very in that same range, in that 40 to 45 to 1 range, which is right in that same range as an SCX10-2 with the AX10 3-gear transmission would be. And you can vary your gear ratio by adjusting your spur and your pinion, so you can go up or down from there if you want. So everything looks really neat coming out of the box, and as I said, really looking forward to getting this together. I'll be posting updates. I'll do a build thread on Scale Builders Guild, on RC Crawler, so be sure to check those out, and I'll be posting updates here on the YouTube channel as well. So hope you enjoyed it, hope you got a lot out of it, and thank you very much for watching.